So, Dylan, we are probably 2 weeks off the back of making our little short Diablo.
Yeah, 2 weeks already.
I think it is 2 weeks. But I just wanted to. I mean, it's kind of the foot of Snowdon. Is it the Snowdonia Mountains, or are we not?
Yeah, well, basically, we're right at the foot of Snowdon. The village that we're in Llanberis, is named the lakeside village at the foot of Snowdon. Snowdon's right behind us over there.
Yeah.
It's, I suppose, nearly 10 miles up to the summit from here.
Yeah.
But this is the lakeside village at the foot of Snowdon. Obviously, we've got the Snowdon Mountain Railway around 300-400 yards. To the back of you there.
Because I mean, the first time I came here was just to meet yourself and meet Diablo, of course. But it was just as soon as I pulled around the corner, because I'd never been here before. So I pulled around the corner, and the car park with the lake right next to it's at the foot of the mountains, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And it's just a fantastic scene and a fantastic scape. So I went for a little wander. I thought, well, if we're going to do this will be a perfect place to do it.
Yeah,
and, you know, you're only 5 minutes from there as well. So it kind of worked out really well. And I just wanted to just mention, like, you know, where and when and how you came to be in such a lovely place. I mean, were you born and bred?
I was, yeah. I count myself very lucky. You know, I wake up every day. I go onto the stables, like we ride in these mountains. You know, all this is natural to me. But yeah, I count myself very, very lucky. The backstory is my dad bought this place as a bankruptcy buy when he was 23 back in 1970. He researched into the history of the hotel, because the hotel itself was the first coaching inn in the village, and it was built back in 1802. And obviously the stables where my horses are now were part of the coaching inn stables. So there was a history back in the Victorian times where there was guided pony tours up to the summit of Snowdon. My dad had grown up with horses in his childhood, in his family farm. So it was a natural progression. He decided to carry on that tradition of having a riding centre or trekking centre to...
It's all right, there's life going on behind us, but
yeah.
Well, I don't think we're going to avoid it, but
no, there's ghosts in this place, honestly.
If there's any little noises, we'll know.
Anyway,
maybe somebody floating past. So
he basically just wanted to carry on the tradition of having guided tours all around the Snowdonia range, and he started up a riding and trekking centre back in 74, I think.
Because I know last time I came down, we had a discussion because we were doing the voiceover for the film.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we sat down, we must have had a conversation for about an hour, hour and 10 minutes, which is great, because this is the good thing about sitting down and doing this now is, you know, we can go through all of that, the lovely, interesting things and your story as well of what you've previously told me. And you mentioned you were kind of riding before you could walk. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Obviously, my dad needed a riding centre manager because he was running the hotel. My mum came along. Obviously, the birds and the bees happened. Then I popped up. So I kind of grew up on the yard with the horses with my mum. And while she was taking out treks, she used to put me in front of the saddle as a baby. So I used to go up into the mountains as a little baby, leading treks with my mum. So yeah, I was in the saddle before I could walk.
Yeah.
So I was doomed, really.
Well,
I was doomed.
Back,
I'm afraid it was in the blood before I could even make a choice. But
It's I mean, it's a great story. Obviously, you know, it's nice to know that you've kind of carried it on as well, because some people, if it's been force fed to you as a kid, you kind of want to run away or go to the city. But I'm sure that has been part of the life, which we'll get to, because you've been around the world a little bit, and you've had a little journey yourself, and then obviously came back and set up on your own and started your own thing as well. So and just if you can tell us just a little bit more about just life kind of as a kid. I mean, were you 5, like mucking horses out? Were you doing all that kind of thing?
Yeah. I basically grew up on the yard. So school holidays, I used to help my mum leading treks out. Obviously, we had a lot of school groups and outdoor pursuits groups, scout groups. Most of those kids couldn't ride, so we needed to have X amount of people on the floor leading these horses or leading these ponies. So that's basically how I got my experience. And then obviously, because it's a tourism village, the council stipulated we had to clean all the horse manure off the main roads.
Okay.
So then if that was my duty, I had to follow on behind with a wheelbarrow and pick up all the horse poop. So and then I don't know if you know about ragwort, but it's a dangerous weed that's contagious to horses. It's actually poisonous to horses, and a lot of equine pasture will produce ragwort because horses do destroy land. So in the summer, I had to go and pick ragwort as well, and clean the fields. But that's how I made my pocket money.
Yeah,
you know?
But I mean, is that something that obviously the horses? It'll be poisonous to the horse if it touches, or is it eating it because it's digesting it? So, so it'll eat it because it's trying to eat something else around it, and it'll just accidentally eat it, or
usually horses won't eat it, but
because they'll know not to.
But the councils usually have a stipulation where ragwort has to be cleared every year. Every council is different, but this council here, make sure that all the fields are clean.
So that was your job as a kid, was to do.
So I remember back in the late 80s, early 90s, taking a portable radio with batteries in, going up to the fields and just listening to music all day.
Get yourself through this.
Pulling ragwort, And then I'd get like £1 a day. So good times.
So obviously that pocket money. I mean, what as a kid, what were you interested in? Because we've had discussions before about you would save up like buying music albums and all this kind of thing, and it would take you sort of a month just to kind of accumulate that much pocket money to get one album or something. So I mean, what was it like yourself? Were you going, oh well, I need this new thing for? You want to get a bike, or what was it that you kind of did as a kid?
Well, I was keen. Outdoor pursuits person. And back in the early 90s, especially 91, 92, I got seriously into my mountain biking. So me and a couple of mates, obviously, were in the ideal area to go mountain biking anyway. So me and a couple of mates were really into our mountain biking. And I saved up to get my first mountain bike through working 2 or 3 jobs, working here as well, having a little bit of financial support off the family as well, because obviously I couldn't afford a bike on £1 a day, could I? So I got my first bike, and then I started competing then with a friend of mine. We used to go down to Mid Wales to the Red Kite mountain bike bashes and compete there every summer. So there became a point where I had to get a better bike. So I got the better bike, and we were training. We were basically cycling 100 miles every weekend, just getting into shape. I was also doing martial arts at the same time.
All right, okay. So what kind of martial arts were you doing?
Wushu, which is war arts of Kung Fu.
Okay, because I know when I first met you, you had a Krav Maga t-shirt on as well. Do you do that as well? Is it?
No, I didn't know. I kind of was given that by a trainer in the village here. because later on, a kickboxing club opened up in the village, and around 10 years ago, I joined the kickboxing club. I stayed there for 4 years or so, until filming got really, really busy, and then I just could not commit. So, over the years, I started off doing judo. So 6, 7, 8. And then I started Wushu Kwan, and I excelled in Wushu Kwan. I trained from the age of 9 to 17. And then obviously I went to college, studied performing arts, and then theatre studies. So I went down the acting route first of all. And it was only by chance, really. I was still down in Trinity College, and I had a phone call off my agent saying, like, a job's come up, they're looking for horse riders, but it's back up in North Wales. They fancy coming back up for an audition, so I did. And the audition was with a London-based horse stunt team called the Devil's Horsemen.
You still work with those guys today? You're still familiar?
Yeah, we've got a really good working relationship.
So how long has that been going, that kind of working relationship?
Off and on. I've been working with them on a regular basis for the past 6, 7 years or so.
But you've known the guys for,
I've known the guys since we filmed Willow up here back in the 80s.
And kind of, was that one of your first things as well that you worked on? Because I know you mentioned, so obviously, sorry, I'm interrupting. Let's just go back to, your first job that you mentioned that you were doing. So you went off from college doing acting. And then
it was the 1997 NBC movie called Merlin with Sam Neill and Rutger Hauer. So I jumped on that.
I love Rutger Hauer. He's great, isn't it?
And it was actually filmed over in Llangwynant on the other side of the mountain here. So
really?
It was close.
That's perfect. So that's on your doorstep. So you're going to work every day. Or you can sleep in your own bed.
It was lovely.
Oh, that's perfect. It doesn't happen, does it?
And I was 20 at the time. And that's where I got my inspiration from, basically, to diversify, because obviously coming out of college, realising, big reality check, there's not enough acting work there to pay the bills, massive debt. So I kind of diversified. At the time, my parents had divorced a few years since, and my dad was looking for a new riding centre, trekking centre manager. So I decided to come back up. I'd grown up on the yard, so I knew how the trekking centre and that business was run inside out. So I took over operating and managing the horse side, and then I had horses to play that I could actually start training up. I started looking into different riding styles, so I ended up going over to Portugal to train in classical equitation. Around the same time, I found out that one of the stunt riders I'd worked alongside back in '97 had broken away from the Devil's Horsemen and started up his own stunt team up in Cheshire. And the new stunt team was called the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. So I got in touch, he remembered me, and he was actually looking for new riders to train up for his stunt team. So I started training there. And I ended up staying with the team for 5 years. I was a performer in the end and commentator.
So what kind of stuff did you do? Obviously, starting out as a stunt rider, were you kind of thrown in the deep end, or did you was it sort of, we'll just try you doing this first, and then you can move on to the next thing? So what kind of things did you actually do? Because I'm pretty naive. I just see whatever's on the TV and what's on movies.
The training was top end. It's definitely not Yahoo serious. All of it's technical, and the health and safety side of it is 100%. So
you couldn't wing anything. It's not a case of doing anything like that, because obviously safety's at the forefront of doing anything like that. Because it's not the case of if you fall off, you can just get back up, is it? Because if you fall off, something's going to break. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you learn how to fall off properly. You learn how to roll.
Okay.
But the first assessment, and it's exactly the same type of assessment I do here now with my own team, is your riding ability. If you can ride, and if you have that certain energy and that certain frame of mind, you can then be pushed into learning tricks, stunts. The athletic trick riding side, it all dates back to the Cossack style of medieval warfare, where you're basically doing gymnastics on horseback at a full-out gallop.
Yeah.
So you need to be physically fit.
Yeah.
You need to have that I don't care attitude. Because if you have fear, you'll hesitate. If you hesitate, you're going to hurt yourself. If you hurt yourself, you're not going to do it again.
So you probably you've got a lot of all the elements to do this thing. You know, you fit, you're healthy, you're active.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing a little bit of the martial arts stuff, which is going to help for for physicality. And flexibility as well.
Yeah.
Core strength and all that kind of stuff. And you're 20 years old.
Exactly.
So there's the no fear straight in, isn't it? Yeah.
So I did my research. I found out you had your two main horse stunt teams down in London or around the London area, but nobody professional doing it in Wales.
Yeah.
Now, going back a bit, backtracking a little bit, back in the 70s and 80s, my dad and my mum used to supply horses for films that came onto location in Snowdonia, starting back with, well, over in Ireland to begin with, starting back with Zardos back in 74, and then the Irish RMs.
That's Sean Connery, Zardos.
Zardos, Sean Connery,
okay.
yeah. And in the 80s, Michael Mann brought one of his first movies over here called The Keep.
Okay.
It was a World War II based horror movie. Yeah. With Jürgen Prochnow. He starred in it, and we had a horse and various animals on that. That was back in '82, I think.
Yeah. That was Michael Mann's first film, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, I'm just familiar with like Manhunter and Thief and stuff like that.
Right,
it's like one of the first, but I never heard of The Keep. So The
Keep.
People will be shouting at us, and because I know my brother's a big film buff, and he'll be kind of going, yes, of course it was.
It was filmed in '82, and it was a World War II based horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's right. It's kind of right up now street, because they've done that kind of thing now, like zombie war horror kind of. There's a lot of that kind of thing as well. So it's kind of come full circle a little bit. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, that's all right. And then, obviously, more famously, George Lucas brought Willow up here in the mid '80s. Yeah. We filmed that in '87.
Yeah. So did you work on that solely by yourself, or was it with your dad, or was it with the guys at the Devil's Horseman?
Well, no, it was actually Greg Powell was the horse master, and he's a big stunt coordinator now. Greg Powell's more famously recently been working on all the Harry Potter movies, and he's done a couple of the Fast and Furious movies, but he's a very big stunt coordinator. Like the Powell family are a London-based stunt family.
Yeah.
Anyway, at the time, Greg Powell was a horse master, because obviously he'd grown up with horses and so forth. So when they came up to film scenes up here, my dad was approached by Greg Powell to see if they could supply, or if we could supply 100 local horses for the scenes up here.
Yeah.
So we helped supply the 100 horses up here, but then Gerard Naprouse from the Devil's Horseman had 50 black stunt horses that he was in charge of. So all in all, we had 150 horses on location up in the Slate Quarry.
So as for just kind of accumulating that many horses, obviously you don't have 100 stunt horses. So how do you kind of wangle I need 100 horses. I mean, that's kind of a problem solving in itself, isn't it? So I mean, do you have the main line, they're the most experienced, and then it drops back, or how does it? No, every single horse has to be trained.
Right. Okay. So basically, Greg Powell came up a good month to 6 weeks before shoot, and worked very, very closely with my dad to actually choose the right suitable horses.
Okay. So you're kind of casting horses, aren't you, really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
casting the horses first, and then we had rider casting then.
Yeah.
I was only 10 at the time, so obviously as in all of it all, but yeah, and I was too young to actually work on it. But after school, I was allowed to help out on set with the stables
That's
and
cool.
actually go on set and watch, what was going on. But
that's the thing. At the time, you probably not know. No, this is just cool because I'm 10 and it's a film, and it's unusual and it's quite new to this show. This circus has just come to town, and and I'm going to have a little kind of insight into how it works. But until the film comes out, you don't really realise. Now looking back, it was such a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a great experience, and I remember actually being on set on one of the night shoots one night. And that was actually unbelievable because me and a friend were allowed to sit just above on one of the ledges. Watching down on all the filming in the evening.
So you could just see over the...
And all the hustle and bustle was just amazing. I remember it as though it was yesterday. It was so cool. Yeah, and I was 10 at the time.
That's great. I mean, because obviously you're going to remember, because it's one of the first big memories of seeing a film set, isn't it? Because plus you can see the whole set from high up. I mean, that's
no, it's
it
cool.
Stays with you, that kind of stuff, doesn't it?
It was cool. It was very cool. Yeah, and people still talk about it today, because it's a really big thing for this area at the time.
I mean, they're going to talk about Game of Thrones for years to come as well.
Exactly.
They're going to talk about... I mean, it's the same as, I think they did some Transformers thing in Durham, in the cathedral, and they're going to talk about this for a long time.
I was there.
Were you there?
I was there.
All right, okay. Yeah, brilliant.
And we filmed in an old abandoned abbey just north of York as well.
Okay. Ribby Abbey or somewhere like that. Ribby Hall. There's a few. There's Revo Abbey and there's Bolton Abbey. You're spoiled for choice up there. But I mean, it's a beautiful part of the world, isn't it? So just like down in here, but So I mean, let's go back to that. I mean, we can come on to the Transformers a little bit later, but so. Yeah, you're young, you're seeing this, you're seeing Willow, and then I think you were talking about you yourself, 20s, kind of being on set and doing your first job and things like that. So that's kind of...
Yeah, like I said, I came back from Trinity College. I started the job with the Devil's Horseman on the Merlin movie back in 97. That's where I got inspired. I was so impressed with the training of the horses, the style of riding, the atmosphere. Obviously, I'd been training for the last 4 years in college to perform anyway. I'd grown up with the horses, so it was just a natural path for me to go down. Just to recap, I did my basic research. I found the 2 London-based teams, but nobody professional doing it in Wales. So I started training in classical equitation. I started training with the horse stunt team. So I had the horses here because I'd taken over the riding centre. And at the time, S4C, which is the Welsh language version of Channel 4, were throwing out a lot of period dramas and movies. And I was lucky enough to gain a lot of my initial experience supplying horses and horse mastering on those productions. And then over the years, my reputation grew, so the BBC got hold of me for drama documentaries. And then Sky One got hold of me when they were filming Terry Pratchett's Colour and Magic. And then from there, I remember back in 2006, 2007, I had an email from a director over in Los Angeles in America, and he was prepping a project, a Merlin, King Arthur type project, for the Sci-Fi channel. So it was going to be a TV movie, and obviously they wanted to film it over in Wales because that's where all the Merlin and Arthur legends are based. And originally he asked about the horses, and then after the correspondence via email and talking, he found out that I could act as well. So he threw me in as an actor who could ride.
Okay. So was it one of those things you always... I know you said you trained it as an actor, but did you want to be a serious actor? Did the stunt horse thing come after, just by circumstance? Or did you fancy yourself as a young theatre actor or a young TV actor? Is that where you really wanted to go down first? Or?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't really plan anything.
Okay, so it just sort of happened.
I had a flair for acting in school. Like, for some reason, I used to get a lot of the main parts in school plays and all that.
Yeah.
I used to sing as a child, obviously being Welsh. You have a very good, most of us have a good singing voice, but I joined the cathedral choir in Bangor. So I went through all my singing exams. And then when my voice broke, I went back and sang as a lay clerk. Yeah, I had a flair for performing. So after my GCSEs, I went to do A-level. I did music AS, art and history. I didn't really fit in the sixth form situation, so I left after 6 months. And I applied to go to college to study performing arts. And at the time I was 17, 18. Like, you don't really know what the hell you want to do. I was DJing at the time. I was still active. I was doing martial arts. I was mountain biking. I didn't have a clue. But I enjoyed the performing arts. I enjoyed performing to the point where, after I'd finished college, I went down to Trinity College down in South Wales to study a BA in theatre studies, but that was a humanities course, so I had to choose 2 of the subjects in the first year. So I took on ancient British history, and I also took on language, linguistics and media. So that would fall in with the performance side of things. But I always had a passion for history. My parents at the time wanted me to get a proper job, become a chemist or whatever, or, don't be an idiot. Like, my grandmother on my father's side, she wanted me to sing, like, professionally.
Or just in the front room, kind of.
yeah, something like that. Don't abuse your body. You can sing. You've got a beautiful voice.
It's just great.
I remember those words. As clear as.
But it's great to see that you kind of all this acting, and you didn't know what you want to do, but you were doing it anyway, performing arts and the horse world, and it's kind of just. It kind of came to your doorstep, really, hasn't it? It's sort of strange in a way, isn't it? But it's nice to hear that story. It kind of came to you, and this is giving you a platform for you to have a career, do what you love to do, have that passion, and kind of continue throughout your whole life. I know it's there's always the highs and lows of life, but it's kind of. It's nice that you can do what you love to do every day as well. I just kind of, it's a good story. Kind of almost everything kind of fit for you, for being here, doing what you're doing. Certain things. I know it's just probably circumstances, but however you want to think of it. But it's just nice that happened. Yeah,
it was just a natural progression,
I mean, do you think about that? Do you kind of think about? What happens if, or do you not go, well, it happened, so I don't really look back and think about anything else?
I'll be honest with you, I just go with the flow. It felt natural. I don't overthink things, I feel things. I always have done. And at the time, I was absolutely skint coming out of college. I had a lot of debt. So I was offered to take over the trekking centre. So I could actually make money to pay my bills off. I'd grown up with the horses. I always had an affinity and passion towards the animals.
I'm guessing that was a solid work ethic as well. That's kind of been embodied in you since day one, and I think that's an important thing as well, is to obviously, because you like what you were doing. You were kind of doing the not so nice jobs, the kind of the rubbish jobs, but you have to do that as well as do the nice things, but you would kind of love it anyway because you're surrounded by horses and you enjoy what you're doing. So, you know, picking up horse muck, doing all the hard graft, it doesn't really seem to be that bad in a way, does it? When you know, I mean, it's the worst thing in the world when you're a kid, but when you look back at it now, you go, well,
it taught me a lot of things.
Yeah, those 18-hour days aren't that bad.
No. It taught me a lot of things, you know. It taught me to be humble. I remember as a kid, you know, a lot of the like village kids used to shout, "Oh, you stinky little bugger," blah 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 blah. You know, like you had the piss taken out of you, you know, for picking up shit off the road, basically, or manure, should I say? You might have to censor that one.
No, it's all right. It's all right in there.
But so it taught you how to toughen up.
Yeah.
It taught you how to be humble.
But it doesn't bug you because you're doing what you like to do. So, you know, someone's shouting at you like, I'm not really that bothered because I'm doing this. And you're just jealous because you can't.
Well, I'll tell you
kicking
one
around
thing,
the streets.
okay?
You don't know what
I'll tell you
want
one
to do.
thing.
So.
At some point, I used to pick up the poo and run after them and throw it at them. That used to shut them up.
Weapon.
So, right, nobody takes the Michael out of me, I'll tell you that much. So, come on then.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a different story.
No, that's all right.
But it is what it is. Anyway, going back to the progression, obviously, at the time, when I first took over the trekking centre, it was only seasonal, so Easter till September. So I still needed to pay off bills and actually make money so I could start up like the Filmhorse business and develop that. So I was working in Spa at a convenience store just down the road. I was working in the hotel bars at night in the function room here. I was working with the Horse Me Apocalypse, so I was doing stunt shows most weekends. So I was just getting money left, right and centre wherever I could. And as soon as I had enough money, I would go over to Portugal and train. And then if I had enough money while I was over in Portugal, I'd pick up pieces of period tack so I could start building up my tack collection.
Yeah.
And over 22 years, I've built up a really good business, you know. Like we've got amazing horses here. I'm so proud of the animals. I've got a very good stock of animals. My period tack, I've got a good collection, and it's all mine, you know. The horses I built little by little, and this is where we introduced Diablo. Obviously, everybody wanted the Iberian horses, the Spanish horses, but they cost a fortune.
Yeah.
Absolute fortune. And bearing in mind I was 22, maybe 23 at the time, and I was still paying off my college debt. Like the trekking centre, riding centre money, after all the outgoings, after the licenses, the inspections, shoeing, vet bills, feed and all that, at the end of the season, there wasn't a lot of net profit.
Yeah.
But it kept the horses going.
Yeah.
Okay? So there wasn't a millionaire's pot at the end of the season. Okay?
It must be a massive amount to kind of to bring in because horses, they're big. they take a lot of looking after. Yeah. And when after I came down and I saw you guys working, and I talked to Kaylee as well, she's like, this is like 8 hours, this is graft. And then I go and do another job. So it's a lot of a lot of work, and it seems a very expensive passion as well.
It is, it is. But the thing is, as soon as it gets into the blood, you're buggered. Yeah. That's it. You're doomed, should I say, you know? Yes. And I blame my mum. Puts me on that saddle as a baby. Yeah. Come on, we're going trekking up the mountains now. Yeah, that's about right. Cheers, man. Cheers. Great. I could have been a doctor or a singer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as much fun though. You don't get to ride through fire, do you?
No, exactly, no.
And wheel the sword around and, like recently pretend to be Stanley Tucci for a day or something like that. So,
I absolutely love my lifestyle. I do, you know. It's not easy. Yeah. I'll tell you now. there's a lot of sacrifices, like personal sacrifices. It's very, very, very hard.
Yeah, because it's
stick into a relationship.
Yeah, because you can't turn it off and then just go and enjoy whatever it is. You've got there's sort of however many responsibilities and a stable behind you. So yeah,
you can't have a normal life.
Yeah,
it's very hard to have a normal home life.
Yeah,
obviously within the film industry as well, you're traveling to location a lot.
Yeah,
you might be away for a month, 6 weeks, 2 months at a time.
Yeah. It doesn't have a good track record for keeping up long-term relationships and marriages as well. So, I mean, the family dynamic must be it's a difficult one to kind of keep on the straight and narrow and on track, especially when you're away 3 months, especially filming, especially movies as well, and TV. They go on for so long and they film them for so long. I remember talking to a gaffer and he said he was sort of 30 years into the business and I was like, I was away for 6 months and I was away for this and I was away for that, and there was always something kind of underlying in his voice, and I was like, so, what about family and things like that? I said, just unfortunately I never really saw my daughter kind of grow up because I was away. And he's still, it's all nice and glamorous when you're younger because you've got the freedom. But it reaches a certain age, especially if you've got kids, because you're away so much that you've missed out. And then just a slight hint of regret starts to kick in because of that. So it's obviously, I'm not going to say it's easier not having a family, but you've got to make a choice in life as well, if that's what you want or not. Because for me, your family is the stables.
Yeah, the horses.
That is
that's
the family.
Where I will butt in and contradict you there. I don't regret anything I've done.
Well, that's what I mean. Good, because I mean, just for some people, just from chatting to this guy, he didn't say that, but there was a hint of regret in his voice because it's a tonal thing and it's a way he answered the question, and there was a little bit because he said, but unfortunately, and then he's still doing the same thing now, but there's less work because he's older, and it's that thing. And was all that sacrifice worth it in the end? Whereas to yourself, it's I have had this conversation with people recently. He said it's not a regret; it's just a choice and a path that you make. Because my brother's exactly in the same. He has the same mindset as yourself. No, I want to do this, and this is what I want to do, and I'm not interested in, having family, and I'm great as long as people are honest about it. Yourself, you kind of I don't have regrets.
I think there's a difference as well between the scenario with the gaffer you were talking about, and my scenario. Mm-hmm. I've got live animals that I've made a life choice to.
Yeah, completely,
they are my family. So if I stop filming tomorrow, I'll do something else with them.
Yeah.
I would never sell those animals because they're a part of my family. As you saw with Diablo.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, the sacrifice that you've made and the effort. It's just the effort that you've put in to kind of Diablo's health, and the effort that you kind of put in daily, for all the animals as well as not just Diablo, but.
The assistant just trying to say that he's spoiled, aren't you?
The commitment.
I know. Yes, he is spoiled, by the way.
The commitment is massive. But when you've got sort of, we'll come into this, but when you've got a possibility of vets going, well, obviously you're going to put them down. And you're like, no, I'm not going to put them down. We're going to make this work. I'm going to make this work. And
I had that situation. I had that scenario. I had so many people come up to me when the decision had to be made. It's not fair on him. Like, you've only got one choice. And I stuck to my guns, and he's still here, so...
Can you tell... I love the story of when you met Diablo as well, so if we can just jump in our friend Diablo, who's probably sitting having lunch at this present moment, or standing having lunch at this present moment. So,
I had a phone call off Welsh Gold breeder friend of mine who owns a stud an hour west of here, down in the Llyn Peninsula, asking if I wanted to come and see any of her young stock. Obviously, for the potential to buy, so I could actually start up and build up my own film stock. Mm-hmm. So I went over there, my dad tagged along, a couple of my team members at the time, and an old Irish jockey, friend that my dad had working with him in his filming days. So, yeah, we had a good crew. Long story short, after 2-3 hours of trudging around fields, looking at yearlings, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, my legs were tired. I wanted to go home. I hadn't seen anything that caught my eye. The Welsh Cup breeder turned around and said, well, we've got one more field where we have mares with newly born foals. Straight away, a couple of my team members went, oh yeah, come on, let's go and see some foals. Obviously, that was a female part of the team member. Oh yes, I want to go and see foals, how cute. Yeah, whatever, okay. Me and my dad thought, well, it's getting late, it's time to go home, come on, like we just wasted the day here. Anyway, the breeder said, before you go into the field, I have to let you know, I've got a stallion running with the mares. Now, he's our father's stallion, and the backstory is there, the father had died a couple of months prior, so the stallion had just been left in the field running with the mares. If that stallion clocks you and comes towards you, you need to make a quick, sharp harp, get over the gate, back onto the lane, into safety. Yeah, whatever, okay. Yes, okay, we'll do that. So, we all go into the field. The breeder is talking to a couple of my team members, and me and my father just walk into the field a little bit, passing a few mares and foals, not really interested, trying to clock where the stallion is. And lo and behold, right down the far end corner, like we see this brown stallion, he clocks us, and all of a sudden, within a few seconds, he galloped from one end of the field right over to us. And I personally was mesmerised. I was here, and my father was a few yards to the right of me, and we were both just clocking in, watching his motion, going, oh, okay, this is he's nice. Oh, I like this one. Yeah. Ooh, hello. Anyway, he stops right in front of me. Yeah. Proud as anything, crested up, snorting, standing proud. And I went, oh, hello, you, now we're talking. This is what I'm looking for. Yeah. And you got to remember, I was early 20s at the time. I was training with a horse stunt team. I might have even been performing at that point. So I was cock of the north, right? And I didn't want any old bloody nag. I wanted something proud, to, just to replicate me. Yeah. Anyway, I looked at my dad, and my dad went, ooh, he's all right. So I walked around him. His mane was long, it was matted. But he looked absolutely unbelievable, amazing. Anyway, I noticed his left eye socket was swollen. So it was obvious to me, he must have got fruity with one of the mares. The mare wasn't ready to be served, so she gave him a wallop, clocked him in the eye. So I turned round, and all I could see were my two team members, the old Irish jockey and the breeder and her sister, scrambling over the gate. What the hell's going on? Hold on, I want to have a chat with you here. So I called the breeder back. I said, oh, is he safe? Is he? Yeah, of course he's safe. Anyway, I told her, you best get that eye checked out. So, yeah, she did do. Anyway, we left him. We went back to the breeder's house. We had a cup of tea, and she asked straight away for feedback. Have you seen anything that you like? And I was honest. I said, well, out of the young stock, I'm not interested. But that last stallion that we saw, I'd be very interested in him. And originally, the breeder and her sister said, oh, no, that's our father's horse. You know, our father's died. So he's our base breeding stallion. I said, okay, fair enough. Well, keep me posted. Let me know what the vet says about the eye, and, let's keep in touch. So that was it. We went home. around a month, 6 weeks later, I had a phone call off the breeder saying, right, listen, we've had the chat, we've reconsidered, and we know that Morlena Carwin, that was his registered name, will have an amazing home with you. So if you're still interested in buying him, we'll let you have him. Okay. So then I asked about the eye and the verdict off the vet. Apparently after treatment, the swelling went down and he could actually see into the eye. Due to the trauma from the kick, or supposed kick, but yeah, we're 90% sure it was a kick off the mare. A cataract was forming on the iris. So I still decided, yes, okay, I'll take him. You know, I did a little bit of research on equine cataracts, and it was only small at the time, you know, so it was manageable. So, yeah, in the end, he came over. We started training him, and he just took everything we threw at him naturally.
And how old was Diablo and yourself at the time?
He was 8.5.
Okay.
And he was a breeding and showing stallion, so
yeah,
he'd been halter broken for the shows.
Yeah, because you were 23, you said? 22, 23, is that
yeah,
right?
Something like that, yeah, early 20s. And, yeah, obviously I couldn't afford the generic Spanish horse or the Portuguese horse or the Frisian horse. But this Welsh cob was my principal horse. So
yeah,
I just put all my passion into him.
Yeah.
All my passion, all my knowledge, all my training. And yeah, like we just became the best of mates. You know, I trained him in classical equitation, so the traditional style or the medieval style of riding, so all through subtle body weight aids. After 6 months, once he was established, I trained him to trick ride, and he took to that like a house on fire.
yeah.
A year later, once I knew he was absolutely bomb-proof on the roads and established with all the commands I was giving him, we taught him to drive, and he became a perfect driving horse as well.
Yeah.
Now, during this time, his eyes started flaring up, and the cataracts started to get bigger, and inevitably his own immune system started attacking the cataract as a foreign body. So long story short there, after treatment up in Lea Hurst over 6 months to 8 months, and a big hefty bill, uveitis was burning his eye out. So and inevitably the professor decided it'll be kinder for him if we take that eye out. Obviously I wasn't mega rich, so I couldn't afford continuous treatment, you know, over 6 months, a year, 2 years, you know, so I saw he was in so much pain, and his character was getting affected by it. So we decided to take that eye out, and obviously as soon as the stitches came out, I just treated him as normal, and he adapted very, very quickly. And then,
so your relationship before that, obviously you guys had worked on a lot of things together as well.
Before we took the first eye out, obviously I trained him to trick ride. He was driving in weddings with me, so I was using him as a wedding horse. He was working a lot on local Welsh language television and film. As soon as he lost that first eye, he adapted really, really quickly. So I just brought him back into work straight away. And then when the bigger jobs came up, obviously he started to get known as the one-eyed stunt horse with that crazy little Welshman on top. Okay. And so his reputation grew. Obviously he stood out anyway because he was such a proud animal, and he is such a proud animal. But then because of his training and what he could do, people were so surprised that he only had one eye. Okay, so that's how he got his name.
Yeah.
You know, and it was back in 2009 when we were working on Robin Hood. I was subcontracted by Steve Dent and his team to supply X amount of horses for Robin Hood. Anyway, Diablo is my steed during that production. And it was actually, while I was working on that, I was approached by Steve Dent and then his assistant horsemaster and asked if I wanted to take over the running of the BBC's Merlin series. Because that had only just started and they were actually too busy to run that as well as the major film productions. And because Merlin was filmed in Wales, it was just a natural progression. So I jumped at the chance, obviously said, go on, I'll do it, go for it. So I did. And Diablo became Colin Morgan's steed, who played Merlin on the BBC's Merlin series. So then he actually started to get a name for himself then, didn't he, you know?
Because you said they had a really good relationship as well.
A very good relationship,
and everyone kind of asks after Diablo and about Diablo. Because of his nature as well, isn't it? Because you said, because you personally said you could put anybody on Diablo, and you know you would trust that person, with any level of experience as well, or
easily. Diablo's a type of horse, and I saw this from the early years. As soon as I put a normal riding saddle on, he'd go into schooling mode. If I put a trick saddle on, he'd go into trick riding mode. As soon as I put a harness on, he'd go into harness driving mode. I used to give lessons to a local kid who was 8 on Diablo, and Diablo would quickly adapt to the level of the rider.
Okay. That's
the
interesting.
age of the rider, and he would actually look after that person. And it was very, very obvious, going back to the Merlin series, why Colin Morgan got on so well with Diablo, because they worked as a team. He'll work with a team with anybody who rides him. So if I'm riding him in a big battle scene, action sequence, he'll be as fiery as anything, but controllable. As soon as I put a nervous actor on, he'll be as timid and as generous as ever, just to look after that artist.
Because I know when we did, I think it was the second day, next to the lake. And it seemed to me that he just knew he was on, and he was perfect. There was no problems, there was no issues at all. Obviously that's down to the training and yourself. But then, you know, you were coming back and you were kind of laughing and you were thinking, I'm sure he thinks he can see. That's what you were saying to me. And I
remember.
It was just a lovely moment to see this. This was unfolding before our eyes, and we were kind of witnessing this lovely little moment. And he just felt like he knew he was on. He knew we were filming. He knew he was on camera. We didn't have a lot of space to run. But
no, we didn't.
It was just... it was just a nice thing to see, and it just sounded like you were a little bit surprised as well. Come on, Diablo, you're going too fast, you know. So, I
think he forgot himself for a moment, didn't he? I think he thought he was like a 3-year-old with 2 eyes.
But that to me
instead of a 26-year-old with no eyes.
But that's the thing. But for me, that's so important is the relationship and the trust and the bond, because obviously you're acting as his eyes, and he's trusting you, that you want to pull back when there's an obstacle or whatever, you need to slow it down, but given the open freedom to, I'm just going to go until I am told by pulling back on the reins that I need to kind of slow down or stop. And it's that, I mean, how do you describe that as kind of, is it you said you do everything with a kind of feeling. Do you get that kind of sense of feeling when you're riding Diablo and you know the trust's there, or you know he's might be not right today, or he's just not happy, or?
Yeah, it's it is a spiritual thing. we feed off each other's energies.
Yeah.
You know, I can feel his energy. I know he can feel mine. And I suppose because I've been doing this for so long, obviously I've grown up with horses, so I will go back to my early years working around horses with my mum and so forth. As a child, I learned how to read the animals, you know, so everything became second nature for me. You know, it's not a learned thing that I learnt in school or equine college or whatever, you know, people do because they have an interest in horses. I grew up in this environment, so everything I am today was a natural progression.
Yes, because everything's pretty much second nature, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, you know. You know, it's natural. It's very hard to explain because I do it without thinking.
Yeah.
I feel without feeling, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
And that happens with all the horses. You know, when I get onto one horse, I can read that animal within a few seconds, and I know what buttons to press, how far I can push, or how subtly I need to give a command to get a reaction. And I think having that natural empathy towards the animal, they naturally relax and connect with me as well.
Yeah, because I mean, you've got so many. You've got a lot of different horses that do different things.
Yeah.
You know, you said, you know, one, you know, canters and then one rears up and one runs through fire, which I met him. That's the feistiest one of all, I think.
Oh, yes, he is, yeah. Yes, he is.
He's the only one that gave us a little bit of grief when I was in the stables by kicking on the door.
Yeah.
But I knew he was there.
But you see, there's a story with him as well that I'll tell you in a minute. But
But it's just fascinating that you know, you can just drop into, well, this horse needs this attention and this horse needs this way of kind of management and this one needs this, and you know, it's almost, you know, you're locking into a different gear, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's just interesting to hear that, you know. It's fascinating to know that you just, okay, but they respect that as well. They know that, all right, this is my role, this is what I do, and I trust you.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as any sort of relationship. You know, if you're an animal lover, like your cat, okay, you understand that cat understands you. It's building up that relationship. Like, some people don't get on with other people. Some people are naturally connected to some certain people without even understanding why. It's exactly the same with the animals. Like, some horses I can't get on with. You know, like some horses go, no, sorry, I can't do anything with him. But other horses I'm naturally drawn to. Same as people. Like, some people, I can meet somebody for the first time and I can talk to them like I've known them for years. Other people actually repel me. You know.
It's sometimes it's a little bit of work, isn't it? And obviously, you wouldn't want to go for a pint with them after, but
no.
Or sit down and have a cup of tea with them. It's I suppose it is. It's that thing in life. And I know when you said, oh, you agreed to do the film, you said, oh well, you've got to come and meet me and Diablo, and that's an important thing.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, right, okay, if I walk on and Diablo's not too keen, I wasn't too concerned because I know. I've never had a situation like that, but apart from the one that goes through fire, it was a bit feisty. But I think that's just a personality trait of his. But the whole thing was, but you want me to meet you, which is fair enough. You've got to. You want to know the intentions of the person as well.
Exactly.
You want to know this person's not coming down just to kind of steal something and use it, and that's it. It's going to be gone, or there's a different agenda. There was no agenda other than what I've put down on the table, and then
I'll be honest with you. So many people over the last few years, since Diablo's become blind and they've seen what he can still do, have always said, this story has to be made into a movie. This story has to be told. The story has to be told because this horse is unique. I know there's other horses out there that are better, horses that can do this, that and the other, but there's not that many blind horses that are still living life to the full and doing what they can with the happiness that they've got, the energy that they've got. I know of one or two, like there is a famous blind dressage horse that's still competing today. Okay? Endo the Blind, I think they call him.
Okay.
And he's got a massive following.
Yeah.
Okay? Diablo still does most of the things that he used to do when he was working professionally.
Yeah.
And it's not about promoting, oh, look at me, I've got a bloody blind horse, you know, make me flipping famous. No, it's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It's about telling the story of this horse.
Yeah.
You know, I met him when he was 8.5. He'd had a kick or some sort of trauma to the eye. That's how all this developed. If the father of the breeder was still alive when I'd met him, that horse wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
He'd still be with the father.
Yeah.
I didn't have enough money to buy the type of horse I wanted at the time because I was skint. I was still paying off bloody bills.
Yeah.
You know, definitely not. I wasn't made of money. I paid 550 quid for that horse.
Yeah.
Right. So that's all I could afford.
Yeah.
You know, and I was actually skint after paying that.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just one of those things. And the adventures we had from the first, like the first day I'd met him, to this day, are unbelievable. You know, I've got so many memories with that horse. I've grown up with him, and he's grown up with me.
Yeah.
Like I said, his registered name was Merlin and Warhorse, so he had a life before me.
Yeah.
He was a showing and breeding stallion. After that, I renamed him because I wanted a movie name for him.
Yeah.
So I called him Diablo, right? Because he had that cheeky nature about him. He had that fiery spark. I thought, you are a Diablo.
It comes straight.
And it stuck. You know. And like this morning, I was doing one block of stables, and Kaylee was doing the block with him in.
Yeah.
Anyway, we opened a new bale of haylage yesterday, and it's open right in front of his door. So the door's open. I go and get some haylage for the other horses, and he's out of his door, munching on the new bale of haylage, while Kaylee's inside the stable.
Yeah.
He hears me, looks at me, ears forward, and still munches. I said, "Good morning, Diablo, is that nice?" And he said, and he just kept on munching. But that's his character.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see a blind horse.
Yeah.
I see Diablo.
Yeah. It never came across that he couldn't see.
No, I know. It's amazing.
And every time, because I show people the film, and because I didn't want to push he's a blind horse. You want to kind of push a relationship, and that's what it should be all about, you know. And you know, there's a stunt horse and there's a story there, and it's only when you realise, he doesn't have any eyes and he can't see, and that's when you go, really, wow, and then you think back to what you've just seen and what he's just been doing. And then that's the kind of like the reveal, but you want to show what he can do before you just go all out and go, oh, he's a blind stunt horse. Come and look at the blind stunt horse. Because that to me is not the story. Yeah. The story is your relationship. It's only a short 2.5 minutes. There's not a lot of dialogue, but I feel it's putting what you need to put in there to get the story across with very few words. You do not need a lot of words to get, especially when you've got a little short film. If you run a documentary series and a full life story, then it's a much different tale to be told. But and that's why for me, I pulled back on putting certain things in it as well. So left it as is, because I think what we said in the film was all we needed to say. And it was the emotion. It was just that. It felt right, like you say. I kind of get a feeling when it kind of go, no, I think that's right. I think that's enough. And for me, I think we got that story across. And from your reaction when you first saw it, that just solidified what we'd done was correct and what we'd done was right, because you've been looking for somebody for a while to to tell that story. I was just wanting to tell it, not a big long story. It wasn't going to be something huge, but it was going to be a nice little nod and a respect to yourself and Diablo. So for me, it is all about that story and to show the character. And when people see that he doesn't have any eyes and he can't see, they're like, really? Wow. It's such a shock because of what he can actually do, and he's got that fire and the drive. Yeah. And now you go out, he's not 26 years old. And you're going out, he's still got that character, he's still that cheeky chappy,
Yeah, he looks very good for his age, fair dues to him. I think I'm feeding him too well. I really do. But have you seen the film Daredevil? Oh, you know the story.
The story Daredevil, because you always kind of came back to this as a reference to that character.
Yeah. I think he's got that sonic radar. He must do, because the confidence he has and the energy he has when you're riding him. Okay, walking, you can get away with. Trotting, you can get away with. Cantering, if well supported through the body, you can get away with. But a full-out gallop, that horse must have some serious balls to trust whoever rides him, because it's not only me that rides him. I've had other people ride him. So that horse has got some serious balls. I don't know. I don't see him as a freak show. I don't see him as some sort of sideline comedy act or any publicity stunt. He's the horse I chose all those years ago. He's the horse that I've gone through so much with. We went through losing one eye to two eyes, making that hard decision on giving him a chance. And there was a lot of factors there as well. The professor that operated on his first eye operated on the second eye, and the administration of the hospital university frowned upon him actually taking the second eye out and releasing him to me. So he actually fought for Diablo's life as well as I did, because he believed in that horse's character and the bond I have with him. So as soon as that eye came out, the second eye now, there's another chapter to his life, readapting to the lack of sight, understanding how to use his other senses, giving him the confidence to become a horse or carry on being a horse without having having that disability hinder him. That's the only reason he is who he is today, because I did not allow that to happen. I treated him as a normal horse. After the second eye came out and the stitches came out, I rode him out for a couple of days with lead horse. On the third or fourth day, I think it was the third day, I said, right, bollocks to this, I sacked him up and rode him out on his own. After 3-4 days of him riding out on his own, he was riding as though he had two eyes.
Really?
And I was so amazed in that horse's capabilities. It's an unbelievable feeling. And when was it? Last summer? End of last summer, maybe? Or autumn. It must have been. Me and one of my team members decided to put him back into the harness. And this is the first time he'd driven since he lost his sight 7 years ago. Because initially I didn't know how he was going to react with the shafts, didn't know how he was going to react with the noise of the cart behind without the support of the rider on his back. Anyway, one day we decided to harness him up, and I led him on the road for the first 5-10 minutes while my other team member drove him. So he knew I was next to him, so he could hear my voice, he could feel my energy and so forth. We took him down to a car park down by the castle there, and I drove him for 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, that horse was trotting out like he'd been doing it every day for the last 7 years. Not for the first time since he'd been blind 7 years ago. That was the first time I put him in harness.
Yeah.
After 10, 15 minutes, and we videoed it. I sent it to a few people, and they said, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, so that horse amazes me every day.
Yeah.
You know, his story should be told.
Yeah.
It really should.
I just want to kind of move on and talk about all the other talented, lovely horses that you have, and especially the one that can run through fire. And how does a horse kind of run through fire, and why would a horse want to run through fire?
Well, there's a backstory there again. He chose me. I didn't choose him.
Why the name as well? Is it Val?
Valmarim.
Okay.
It's a Portuguese name that he was registered with.
Right.
So it's just Val for short.
Okay.
But yeah, Valmarim. He's a Lusitano stallion. I was over at a friend's Lusitano stud, again, an hour west of here, looking for a horse for a friend of mine. She was looking for a filly, for a female horse. So we'd chosen a Luso Cross cob, 2-year-old, and the breeder turned around and said, "Oh, before you go, why don't you come and have a look at the newly born foals of the mares?" Again. So I said, "Okay, go on then." My friend, being female, jumped out. "Oh yes, we love to look at foals, don't we?" Anyway, it's a big 10, 15 acre field with 8 to 10 mares with foals. Anyway, we went in, and every time we approached a foal, it ran behind the mother, and the mother kind of shooed us off or shoot the foals off, so we weren't actually seeing anything. Anyway, my friend was talking to the breeder about the horse that she'd chosen and just going through the deal. So I just walked into the field, daydreaming as I do, going, "Hurry up, guys, because it's time to go home now." And all of a sudden, ping, 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 this black little foal just comes pinging along out of nowhere, no mother to be seen, and stops right in front of me. So I kneel down, I put my hand out, and he starts licking my hand. And I just thought to myself, "Hey up, hello."
Yeah, that's how they get you, don't they?
Yeah, I'm in trouble now, aren't I?
Yeah.
And the breeder says, "Oh, he likes you. Like, they don't usually do that at this age." All right, okay, great. And I had no money, right? So, like you're talking Spanish Portuguese horses now, a hell of a lot more money than Welsh cobs at the time. And this was a foal, right? So you're talking thousands, not hundreds.
Yeah.
And I don't have the bloody money, right? Because it's around the same time I just bought Diablo, I think. And yeah, I was like, "Oh, great."
Yeah.
But I knew instantly that this horse chose me. Don't ask me how.
Yeah.
I just knew, you know. And I thought, "Oh, okay, I've got to get this horse somehow." And he was like 3-4 months at the time. He was titchy. He was pure black. He was absolutely titchy, right? So I didn't know how the horse was going to turn out. I didn't know his character, but I could feel something. And I thought, "Oh God, okay, yeah, you've chosen me here, haven't you? I'm going to have to take a chance." So I actually took a loan out, to get him. So he came to me 4.5 months, 5 months old.
At what point do you realise that this one's different? This one likes a little bit more, likes to be pushed more. Is it just a character build up, or you can see him kind of developing as well throughout the years, or it's like, how do you get to Well, he's so fiery, I think he can go through fire. Or, yes, he's wanting to do this, or he's wanting to push it. How do you get to the point of kind of training him to do that?
Right,
or
okay.
will he just do that through kind of introducing him to the elements, and then if you go closer, he's not afraid, or how does it work?
Right, okay, so let's go back to day one.
Okay.
When I first meet this horse. Bearing in mind, all the other foals, as soon as you approached them, ran behind the mothers, and the mothers toddled off with the foals.
Yeah.
Okay? This was the only foal that out of nowhere was bold enough to come pinging along and stood right next to me. Okay? So that showed me a curious, bold character to begin with, even at that age.
Yeah.
Okay? And I could see that straight away. I thought, hey up, there's something in you. So as soon as I got him, there was basic training straight away. I was leading him out every day. I was handling him and so forth. So you soon get to understand the character and the nature of the horse. He did exactly the same with me. So we built up that relationship, that bond. Me being young 20s at the time, I was a lot more fiery and cocksure of myself than I am now. I had a lot of fire in my blood, being a Welsh Celt. So I think I passed that on to the horse. And yeah, I taught him not to be afraid of anything. I trained him with discipline, but not with aggression. You with me? So the horse, even though he had a lot of fight and fire in his spirit, I was able to keep that in him without suppressing him, basically. And
so how do you? I mean,
go on.
Just thinking how could you? That must be really. Is that tough to train?
Yeah.
That's because I'm just trying to think of how you do it. Because instantly my brain's kind of trying to figure it out. Well, yeah, because if you push too much, it's going to rebound, and then it's going to have a bad attitude, and then you kind of it's not going to do what you want, and then you do you know what I mean? So that's how I kind of see it. Similar to it's kind of raising children as well. You kind of you push them too much, and then they'll rebound. It's just that walking the fine balance, isn't it? Walking the fine line.
Right. I'll ask you a question, okay? Do you remember your teachers at school?
I remember the ones that made an impact, and I remember the awful ones, truly awful ones, and I remember the one good one, maybe two good ones.
Right, so another question for you.
Yeah.
Do you remember your worst teacher? Or the teacher you disliked the most?
Depending on what age, yes, I do.
Okay. Do you remember your best teacher?
Yes.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
You're right.
What was the difference between those two people? Don't name names, just what was the difference between those two people?
Well, the difference between those two people were the ones that were willing to give you the time and listen to you and let you be you and kind of help you develop and stand back a little bit. So even though you can go, well, stop doing that, don't do that, but still go, oh, go on, give that a try. Kind of, let's see what you can do. Yeah, well done. That's there's a boundary. You've got to be the parent as well as you've got to give them their own little space to kind of fly and develop because you're not them, they're not you, they're their own person, and you've got to kind of make them be them, You've got to kind of just let them be them, not make them be them, but let them be who they are.
Yeah. There's your answer.
Okay.
Basically. Just being with that animal or being with the animals every day, you understand their characters, you know their buttons, you know what to push, what not to push, you know how hard to push them, you know how hard to push them in one direction, you know when you need to discipline them, how to discipline them, not too much, not too little.
Yeah.
You have to be a good teacher. Yeah. You have to be a parent, you've got to be a friend, you've got to be a mentor, but you need to be that good teacher, not the bad teacher. It's simple.
Yeah, because that's kind of what you are. You know the role. You're not going to be rolling around, oh, this is it. Because I think that's when you get a little bit too close, when you're too affectionate, there's no discipline there. That's when you get the problems, because it can't work the other way. If you poke someone for too long, they're going to bite.
Yeah.
Equally the other way, if you kind of treat them with kid gloves too much, then they're gonna push you and push you and push you and test the boundaries and go too far.
And that goes on to respect. If they don't respect you, things will happen.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same, vice versa. If you don't respect a horse, it's having that mutual respect. So then from there, as soon as you've established that relationship and you both respect each other, you can then flourish together.
Yeah.
And me being at my age, I had the fire and the passion to carry on the training that I put into Diablo. So I was training Diablo, but I was training Val from a youngster.
Yeah.
I had Diablo as an adult, establishing his training, but I was going through the basic training with Val as a baby.
Yeah.
Okay, so we both grew up with each other. Diablo and Val, I grew up with. Obviously, the other horses came along later, but they were my base horses from an established adult Diablo to a little baby Val. You know, Val's 17.
Okay.
Like 17, so I've had him 17 years.
Yeah.
I've had Diablo 18 years.
Yeah. That's,
Yeah?
Yeah, there's nothing.
No, exactly. You know, so
there's I mean, like you said as well in the film, there's an honesty and there's a truth.
Yeah,
you can't not have that, because it's just been together for so long. It's just you just know each other. You know, you'll definitely kind of know each other, and kind of how do you get to the point where you can kind of push a horse to the limits? I'm guessing running through fire is possibly one of the biggest limits.
Again, it all boils down to the bond of trust. He trusts me not to hurt him. So again, the training progression is strict. Obviously, I introduced him to fire. I have fire performers that work with fire poi, fire staff, fire fans, and so forth. So in the beginning, in the training, I had the fire performers work in the arena, and I was just riding around.
So you get used to being around the flames and the fire.
The flames, the smoke,
it's literally
the smell.
same as a wall of fire. So you know it's not going to hurt you, and the trust. Because if you're next to the fire with him, then he's not going to go, well, actually, if Dylan's happy, then I'm happy, kind of thing. You know, it's
the bond of trust.
Yeah.
And okay, moving forward to when I first went through the wall of fire with him.
Yeah.
He was only young.
Yeah.
I think he was like 4.5 when I first went through the wall of fire with him. He was still a teenager in his head, but the bond of trust, because I'd had him from 4 months old or nearly 5 months old until that day, and I'd done all the work with him every single day. Okay, at that point, that morning when we went down to the lakeside, like we did it in the lakeside field where we filmed with Diablo the other week. Okay. And I had a team with me. We set up a wall of straw. So originally, I rode him through that wall of straw 3 or 4 times. So I knew he wasn't going to shy. He wasn't scared of what was this wall of straw doing in the middle.
An obstacle.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so he went through, boom, 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 happy days. And me being me at the time, screw loose. I just told the guys, okay, light it up. So petrol, up. And as soon as he heard it, I turned him round, and he was lucky I had a trick saddle on, because I held onto the pommel. The kickback of that horse was unbelievable. Do you know that? He threw me off the back of the saddle. I was holding onto the pommel. He was moving that fast, straight for the fire.
Yeah.
Okay, and I thought, okay. So I was holding on, and he went through it. He actually turned round himself, went through it again, and again. He went through it 4 times before the flames went down. Right? And he turned round himself. He went through it himself. So, well, you know, the proof's in the pudding. He's as crazy as me.
I mean, but that's fascinating, because that's all him.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all him going. All right, I want to do this.
Yeah. I did
Can
prep.
I do this? Yeah.
The rest was him.
Yeah.
I was just a passenger.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yeah.
But my energy enabled him to have the confidence. Well, he trusted me not to put him in any danger at all. And the thing is, when you go through a wall of fire, you're going through so fast.
Yeah.
You can't feel anything.
It's probably worse going through the wall of straw, is it? The kind of the hair or the straw, the bales, something like that, or is it worse kind of going through that or not? Obviously, just because it's a solid object might be different through like just a heat wave of or is it? What's your opinion on that?
I don't really know because I've never had any issues.
Okay.
With either, you see.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the preparation training leads up to a horse that will trust you enough to do anything you ask it to do.
Yeah, so there's just no hesitation. There's never been a hesitation.
No.
Yeah,
like if the horse is trained properly, and if you've got that relationship where the horse believes in you and you believe in him, like there's no hesitation, there's no issue, there's no problem.
Fantastic.
Like the only problem comes when you try and rush a horse and ask it to do things that it's not ready to do.
Yeah.
That's when people will have a problem, or the horse will have a problem.
Yeah.
Again, he was a horse I trained in a different part of my life, in a different time of my life. So a lot of my passion and energy that Diablo had, Val had as well. Now, I've mellowed over the years, you know, like this is nearly 20 years ago. You know, I've seen a lot and I've done a lot, and like my body's not as agile as it used to be at the age of 20 odd, you know. So the horses that I train now have a different mindset to Fiery Diablo and Fiery Val. They have a mature version of me. I've got two black Alta stallions from the Royal Stud in Portugal. One of them is my film horse, a horse called Casquito, and I actually rode him on the Battle of the Bastards episode for Game of Thrones. We were over there for 6 weeks, again working for the Devil's Horseman. But he was my steed on the Battle of the Bastards. Now, I have a totally different bond with that horse compared to my original two. We survived the Battle of the Bastards. It was a heavy shoot, but I had a lot of fun on it because I had a horse that I trusted. Yeah. And
the right horse for the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. Okay.
And he was actually a pleasure to ride. He knew his job. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He looked after me, so we worked as a team.
Yeah.
Where other horses and other riders didn't have that bond. Yeah. So
is that obviously because they're not familiar? Because it might just be, you know, we need 20 horses and you're riding this one and you're riding that one.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm guessing that must be quite hard to manage as well. So
you know, and there was like 80, 90 horses on set. So
and the pressure of kind of all those horses as well. I mean, because you've done that kind of thing as well. So, I mean, when you're standing in front of, I don't know, about 50 horses, and they're all in a line. Everyone's kind of, you know, they're mounted up. Everyone has the role to do. But the pressure is on yourself to go, right, these horses have not got to move an inch, and we've got to go when the director says go, or the first AD says go. I mean, that must be a lot of pressure, kind of, to orchestrate that kind of thing. And obviously that's the kind of pressures you're up to when you're on a set. Is that right?
Yeah. And the experience of the riders, the horses vary as well. Yeah. You know, you'll have your very experienced veterans with your very experienced horses, then you'll have your newcomers, because there's newcomers, you know, coming in all the time, riders as well as horses. So you have to make sure that you look after them. There's a lot of pressures, you know. It's not an easy job. You know, going back to Warhorse, like we had 160 odd horses on that, and there's a lot of different horse stunt teams working in collaboration with Steve Dent and the Devil's Horseman and so forth. You know, there was trainers from Spain, Liberty trainers from New Zealand, Australia. The main horse master was from America. You know, it was an international film.
Yeah.
And obviously, the opening sequences with the British cavalry, all that had to be military formation, so all had to be very, 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 very strict. Now, because the World War I cavalry were mostly young boys, you know, from the age of 18 to 22, a lot of the older, experienced riders weren't allowed to be cast. I got away with it because I was small, yeah. But a lot of people my age and older weren't actually allowed to ride horses because they didn't look the part. They didn't look 18 or 22.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had a lot of younger riders involved, and because of the horse numbers, we had a lot of horses that weren't experienced in big battle scenes, like they would have been experienced in smaller TV shows, but not experienced in big battle scenes. So we were allocated 10, 15 horses and riders each to look after, right? So you had sub-commanders or supervisors, you know, to control the lines.
Yeah.
And when you've got 160 horses, and then you're throwing actors into the mix as well, it's not an easy feat.
Yeah.
But the job was done because the right people were chosen, the right horses were chosen for the job. Depending on the character of the horse, it usually takes up to 3 to 5 years to train up a film horse, a stunt horse, an action horse, a principal actor's horse, up to 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you treat each job equally, like you have to with anything.
Course, yeah.
Everyone is important, and you know, you've worked on quite a lot of films. But you mentioned when we were chatting off camera, I mean, Transformers must have been a big one, because that's pretty much, is that the highest you can Hollywood blockbuster budget wise? I'm guessing it doesn't come any bigger than that.
No, blimey, no. Well, I was actually working with the Devil's Horseman on the White Princess at the time, down in Bristol or Cirencester down there, and the horsemaster messaged me and said, can we have a head and shoulders shot and then a full body shot of you? Basically, because I'm losing my hair and I'm a certain size.
Yeah.
They wanted to put me forward for a job. All right, okay. And then a few others were asked as well. So I sent it off to the Devil's Horseman's office. And a day later, I came back saying that I was chosen. We still didn't know what the hell it was for. And then the horsemaster turned around and said, right, you've been chosen to work on Transformers. I said, what are you on about? Transformers don't have horses. What are you on about?
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
Yeah, they do now.
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about the job at the time.
Yeah, because they can't tell you either, can they?
No. Anyway, long story short, I was chosen to become Stanley Tucci's riding double while he played the character Merlin. And this was on the last Transformers movie. Obviously, there was a medieval scene with King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and then Merlin saves the day by finding a medieval staff brought over by an early Transformer. And I was brought in to double Stanley Tucci to become his riding double. So the first scenes were actually filmed up in the Isle of Skye. So I was flown up to I was actually flown up to Inverness, and I had to drive up to the Isle of Skye. And we filmed up there for 3 days. And then we filmed the opening battle sequence down in Surrey. And then for the opening sequence of the film, and his last couple of days of filming for me, I was flown over to Northern Ireland, and we filmed the opening sequences in the dark hedges over in Northern Ireland.
Did Stanley ride at all, or did he?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, so he, he's got a little bit of experience doing.
Yeah, Stanley was there for
well.
all the close-up scenes where he was talking and so forth. Yeah. But obviously, I had to double him up for the scenes in the Isle of Skye because it was all up in the mountains. There was a couple of rearing scenes and so forth, and just generic canstering. And
I know you've told me before, but who's the most experienced? Was it Jeremy Irons? There's most very
Jeremy Irons,
he's very experienced at riding, even kind of driving as well.
Yeah, I got on really well with Jeremy last year. We were working on the up-and-coming HBO series called The Watchmen, and that was actually filmed up here. And we were the horsemaster and suppliers on that job. Anyway, Jeremy, luckily, is a very, very, very experienced horseman. So he did 99% of all the horsework himself. The last 1% was on second unit with a horse double and riding double, only because Jeremy was on the main unit with us, filming at the same time. Otherwise, he would have done 100% of the job. And
it must be quite nice to see a guy and an actor who is, I don't know his age now, but he's been around for a while.
70 this year.
70 this year. Yeah. So, and to see he can ride and he's got the confidence and the trust, it must be nice for you to go, just step back a little bit and just watch, watch the respect that he has as well for being a rider. And that's, there's a little, it might be easy to kind of, for the scene to go because of that.
Yeah. It was an absolute pleasure working with him. I could tell on our prep days.
There's an interest, like a genuine kind of interest as well.
He had a massive empathy towards the horses. Yeah. I could tell straight away that this actor could connect with the animals straight away. Yeah. I warmed to him straight away. I think he warmed to me. We talked on the same level, basically, all about the horses. And he was an absolute pleasure and a dream to work with all the way through the shoot. I'm still in touch with him now. I messaged him happy birthday a few days ago last week, and he emailed back. He's actually over in the US filming something at the moment.
Oh, okay. So he was 70.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Jeremy.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic actor. He kind of never falters anything he does. He's always good. He's always solid, and it's nice to hear that he's good at riding, and he just takes it in his hands, and I like that. It's kind of, maybe it's like an old school mentality. I don't know, but
he's ace.
It's like I'm going to do it. I can do it. I've had 20 years of doing this, and I want to give it a try. Or they'll step back and go, well, show us the ropes, but I really want to try and learn. And it's just that curiosity and the keenness as well. I love to hear stories like that instead of like, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. You want somebody with a little bit of passion and drive to kind of. It just makes your job easier. I'm guessing it makes life easier on the day.
Working on the Watchmen last summer was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and I think because he had such a natural empathy with the horses, and he is a very experienced horseman. Mm. He has horses himself. He drives over in his home in Ireland, and it wasn't really a job; it was a holiday for us because he made it so easy for us. He really did. Yeah. So we're looking forward to seeing that when it comes out in a few months.
Definitely. The film was fantastic, so I'm guessing this is going to be another epic. A visual treat as well. I don't know who's doing the thing, but it was nice to hear when you were saying it. I was like, oh, really? Are they making something like that? Because I didn't even know about it, so that'll be interesting to see. I just want to kind of maybe finish on a little bit about what's next for yourself. I know you had plans to kind of expand the business a little bit more and do something, just grow a little bit more.
Yeah, well, we're actually at a very exciting point in our lives at the moment where we're selling this up and we're moving to a new complex. So in the next few months or so, we'll be setting up in a new farm close to here again, but it's got more land, more acreage, more room to expand and build facilities so we can expand the Filmhorse business, not only for the filming and TV, but to run client courses, actor courses, action courses. Yeah. I want to start a breeding program because I've got some amazing stallions in the back there. Yeah. Exciting times. We're in a bit of a limbo at the moment because we're just at that stage where we're starting to move things out.
Yeah. You want to get cracking, don't you? You want to get going, and
and it's still in with these solicitors, so it's a tense time.
Yeah.
And we're coming into winter.
Yeah.
But it's going to be all systems go. As soon as that green light hits us, we're going to be right. Okay, let's crack on. But I've got a short movie we're filming this weekend up in Snowdonia. And I've got a photo shoot next weekend or the weekend after. And then I don't know after that.
Yeah, but it's nice that you're kind of keeping everything in Wales as well. It's sort of nice you know, this is the home, and this is where the heart is, and this is where you want to situate yourself. Yeah. And there's no plans on moving anywhere else.
No, not at all. I have had conversations with old team members in the past, and they always ask me, "Why don't you move down south? That's where the work is." I don't want to leave here. You know, if I ever decide to go away from filming, you know, this is a place where I'd want to make a career with my horses. You know, I'm 42 now. I might diversify. It all depends on what pops up. You know, if the film work and TV work is regular, and there's a need for filming horses in Wales, then okay, we'll keep on doing what we do. But if not, like I said, as soon as we move into the new complex, we might diversify, start running courses, clinics, masterclasses, even devise and put on some sort of display or equine theatre show. You know, I'm a performer at the end of the day. The animals are performers. So, the world's our oyster. As long as those animals are working and they pay for their keep, and I don't have to try and sell my body because I'm not going to make anything for this anymore. It's broken. We'll see what happens.
All right, perfect, brilliant. All right, thanks, Dylan. Thanks a lot.